Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Doodles podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Today, I'm answering all the questions from our patrons. So basically, I made a post to our patrons. What would you like to know about sailing doodles or anything, basically? And they replied, and so I'm going to answer all their questions. So if you would like to have your questions answered in a future podcast, then go to patreon.com/sailingdoodles. And, next time we do one of these, you can have your questions answered. So cheers to you guys. Thank you for coming. All right, we'll get started. So, the first question is from Jason. Hey, Bobby, just curious, what changes are you considering making surrounding income diversification, especially since Facebook keeps yanking your chain with no apparent recourse in sight? Are you considering any podcast episode sponsorships, maybe? Well, the podcast is not quite big enough yet, I don't think, for too many sponsors. There's only, offhand, I'm not sure, 40,000 subscribers. But as far as diversification, so the Facebook has been remonetized finally. It's really annoying. It's happened twice, and actually one of our viewers works at Facebook. I believe it's Jim or Jace. I think it's Jim. Anyway, he's looking into it for me on why that keeps happening, and is trying to keep it from happening again. So thank you for that. It is real annoying when that happens, but so diversification, sure. I mean, so not only YouTube, and I have multiple channels on YouTube. So I have Sailing Doodles, I have Glamping Doodles, I have Flying Doodles, I have the Doodles podcast. So I think that's kind of diversifying there. And then, of course, but that's still just one platform. So I need to diversify to other platforms. So recently, Facebook has made it possible for creators to post original content there. So obviously, I've been having some problems with demonetization, but hopefully that's all the kinks are getting worked out now. We'll see. And then, of course, there's Instagram. There's not a whole lot of money in that until you get really big on Instagram. I think I have around 70,000 followers on Instagram, and it earns like $100 a month or something. Not much. And then TikTok, I don't really do anything I syndicate basically my Instagram to TikTok. And then, of course, I do syndicate all the videos to Rumble too, but on Rumble, last time I checked, I have less than 1,000 followers on there, and it's not really earning much income. But basically what I've got it set is that I gave Rumble permission to just copy my YouTube, and so it puts all the videos there, so you can do that as well. And then, of course, there's the podcast. So there's the audio versions on that. Maybe eventually the podcast will get big enough where you get a sponsorship for it, not only just on the YouTube stuff, but there's the audio versions as well. But we'll see how that goes. So, I don't know. SVE Odi, what's up, guys? Asks, what kind of a ring am I buying Stephanie? Yeah, sure. Yeah. Stephanie actually right over there looking at me now. Hi, she's waving at me. But Bob says, run for the door, Yodi. Okay, George. Hi, Bobby. Here's one. Will the new cat come with Wi-Fi Starlink from factory, or will you have to add it afterwards? So, yes and no. It will have a Wi-Fi system on the boat. So it'll have a range extender for Wi-Fi, and I believe it'll also have cellular data, like range extender as well, that you can plug, it's like a hotspot type thing. You can do that. And then, of course, I do have Starlink. That's probably what I uploaded this video on right now, and it's for my RV. Technically speaking, they haven't approved this version for marine use, and I don't know. So basically, the Starlink for RVs is what I have right now. We're in my RV. Is it's basically the same as the household thing. It's just been unlocked from being geo-fenced into one area, so you can move it around. So if you're around the U.S., and I hear it works okay in the Caribbean, the further north you are and the further west, actually, in the United States, it seems to be better. So it's not real great right now the further south you are. But in the next year or two, I imagine that'll be better. They did announce the marine version that's like $10,000 for the equipment and $5,000 a month for the subscription. I imagine that's more angled towards like the super yachts where they can have it in motion, like they have a gimbal stabilized array that they can use while underway. So Starlink, while you're underway on a sailboat, probably would not work very well because you're heeling over and doing all that, and it's not that kind of. It does have a little gimbal motor on there that can move the dish, but it's not really designed to move like quickly like would you need on a sailboat. So in fact, I'd probably suggest not using Starlink underway because you're going to wear that motor out. So, but it is in the future. Let's see here. All right, that was from Jorge. And from Sean, will the Island Spirit Cat electric motors have regen capability? No, that's not really the intent. It's not like braking, right? Well, I mean, I don't think it's built into it. I'm not saying it isn't, but I don't think it's built into it. But you never know. The problem is that it would really have to spin in those props fast, I think, to generate enough power. But because, I'm not sure. I don't think it's going to have it, though. They do have, the kind that you put under a sailboat that folds down off the back. But I think you have to be going fairly fast for that. Like, it depends on what kind of blade you have on it in the system. But all right, Richard. Will you cruise from Vietnam? I'm assuming you mean Thailand. That's where the boat's being built. Or have the cat delivered to somewhere else? How long will Floor Megan be with the Doodles? 3 girls, no jealousy, makes a good crew. Well, so it is Vietnam where the boat's made. That remains to be seen. There are 2 options. Either I pick it up in Thailand and go sailing from Thailand. I think the more likely option is that they will ship it because it's going to be expensive to ship it to the United States. I want to say like $60,000 to have it shipped to the East Coast of the United States or more. And but the manufacturer might want to do that as well as Navigar because they would like to have it in the boat shows next fall. And so I would actually prefer that happened as well, that they shipped it because I want to go back through the South Pacific. And if I have to pick it up in Thailand, then that's going to be like 5 years away because you can't, sailing east is not the way you want to go around the world because you have to be very far north or south to do that. So I don't plan on doing that. But so if they ship it over to the East Coast, then I sail and I do the boat shows next year and then go down across the Caribbean, across the Gulf of Mexico to like Mexico and then down to Panama through the canal, up, Central America, and then cross the Pacific Ocean and into French Polynesia. So if they ship it to the U.S. next year, I do the boat shows. That means I'm probably crossing the Pacific March of 24, I think, is when I would do that. Because I could technically make the window for March of 23. March, April is kind of the best time to cross the Pacific Ocean. But that'd be really moving quick. And I just want to take my time. And plus, I would like to go experience Central America and spend a year kind of cruising up the coast there. So we'll see how that goes. And then let's see here. How long will Floor and Megan be here? They have left already. Floor actually got a job with Emirates Airlines, so she's moving to Dubai. And Megan, I guess we'll visit her some. I'm not sure exactly, but I think she's in Europe right now with her family. So... sorry. All right, Brian asks, what are you doing until you get the, sorry, it was a typo there. All right, what are you going to do until you get the new sailboat? I like watching you and Stephanie on your travels on Glamping Doodles, and we'll be traveling to more places in the country. Yes, so we're doing Glamping Doodles right now. I am in the planning stages right now of maybe even I got to look to see what's available. Going to Spain to sail the second half of September for 2 weeks, and maybe even meet up with Geraldine there and have her sail with us. So that's kind of the plan until the next new boat happens. Hopefully my boat's still for sale, the Dark Side. So if anybody's interested, you can go to sailingdoodles.com. There's more information on the boat. I'm asking $249 for it. It's currently in South Florida. It's the Hatteras 60, 52 converted to a 60. People get upset when I say that. They're like, it's not a Hatteras 60, it's a Hatteras 52 with an added-on deck cockpit to make it 60. I'm like, well, I just say a Hatteras 60 because it's 60 foot long and it's a Hatteras. Anyway, sorry if that annoys you. Yeah, so then until the new boat is ready, probably honestly be hopping on around like charter boats and stuff like that. Go spend 2 weeks in Spain, then go spend 2 weeks in Belize, then go spend 2 weeks on just charter boats doing that, filming. And then, of course, we're doing glamping doodles right now. Who edited? Okay, so that was from Brian. Mike asked, who edited the thumbnail for We Finally Made It to the Exumas? I did. I edited all the thumbnails. Some of them are easier to edit than others, and that was a pretty easy one to edit. So, yeah. Greg Romero, what's up, man? How you doing? Damn, where do I begin? Okay, I'm sure he's getting to more questions later. All right, so Daryl asked, what was the top 5 hardest things when you first started sailing? Probably the number one thing is knowing what you need or what kind of boat you need. Because honestly, until you've been out sailing for an extended amount of time, you really don't know what you need in a boat, right? I mean, you can go charter a boat for a week or two, but that doesn't give you enough time to settle in to really know what you need on a boat. And you can go sail some friends' boats or something like that, but again, that's for a week or two. You really won't know what you need in a boat until you go spend a couple months on a boat. So when I first started out, I had that 37-foot CNC. It's more of a racing cruiser. So it was more for racing and speed than it was for comfort. Didn't hold enough water, didn't hold enough fuel, no water maker. It was just a small refrigerator. When I remember when I was shopping at boats, first thing, going, man, this has everything. This is everything I need. And then I actually get out there and I'm like, okay, well, it's lacking in a few things. So you really won't know what you need till you get out there and do it. Try to do as much research as you can, but there's nothing that can beat experience. Other hard things, nothing was really super hard that I didn't see coming. You know what I mean? You got to plan for weather. Sometimes I would say, meeting people not like meeting people, but like having people come down to visit you is hard because they say, okay, where are you going to be in March? And I'm like, I don't know, the Bahamas. Like, okay, where in the Bahamas? I don't know, right? So you can give them a time or a place, but it's hard to give them both. You can say, okay, when I pass through Nassau, I'll call you and come, I'll give you 2 weeks notice and do that. But a lot of people can't take time off work to meet and all that, so that's kind of a pain. Other than that, there was nothing too much there, so. All right, Hilton, when are you coming to Australia? Well, when I cross the South Pacific next, which, that could be March of 24, which by the time I get to Australia, it would be at least a year after that. So maybe sometime in 25. Maybe the winter of 25 would be a good time to be down there. So we'll see. Richard asks, do you have a new logo for the boat? No, I have the Sailing Doodles. I have a couple different Sailing Doodles logos. I'll probably go with something like that. But then I think I'm going to name it Maverick after my first dog there. So it passed away. Unfortunately, Goose passed away too. I'm thinking it's kind of like I don't want to be mean to Goose, but like if I name the boat Maverick and the dinghy Goose, I don't know what that mean because Goose is a lot smaller. I don't know, but we'll see. But okay, Richard also asks, will sailing electric boats be easier and will it have cool features like an electric car has? Sailing-wise, I don't think it's going to make a difference at all. It will have a huge battery pack, which is nice, so that, because it's going to have, so when I did my introductory video on it, I said it has 210 kilowatt batteries, and I said that's, as much as a Tesla. That's 3 times as much as a Tesla. So the cool thing about having a battery pack like that is that you can run, your air conditioner for a few hours just on the battery or whatever play, especially if there's a nice sunny day and you got, 4 kilowatts of solar coming in. You can run your air conditioner most of the day just on the batteries and the solar and not run it down too much, So that's a nice thing. Sailing-wise, it won't make much of a difference. It really won't. So, let's see here. Could Stephanie tell us a sailor joke? I don't know if she can hear me back there. Stephanie, do you have any jokes you'd like to tell? No, she can't hear me. All right, Jorge asks, another one. Steph has a great personality. You get along and complement each other very well. In fact, it's been a great travel partner so far. Do you see yourself sailing together for the next, let's say, 4 or 5 years? Sure, yeah. There's no real we have no end game. We're just cruising around right now. So we're currently in the RV. We're planning to go sailing next month. And then, of course, the Annapolis Boat Show after that. Yeah, who knows? Jeff asks, we all know cruising is not always smiles and beverages. What has gone wrong and not filmed? All the boating stuff, like all the crappy stuff that's happened boating-wise, I have filmed. I mean, there might be a couple times when we're having an issue, harder time getting into a marina slip that, I don't have time to pick up the camera. But we haven't, crashed or anything like that. It's just, not always as easy. But it's, I guess mostly it's when there's been any kind of personality clash or argument among the crew. That obviously has not happened much, but it does happen. And, if somebody's having an argument or kind of a little fight or something like that, if I pick up a camera in the middle of that, that's going to go great. I'm going to get yelled at for having a camera, how's that going to work? So I'd say it's more than that, but that doesn't happen very often. And there's only been a few crew members that's even been an issue with. So I guess that's mostly it. I mean, you're on a small, cramped boat, right? So it's, if you're not very well in tune with your crew, there can be complications. So, yeah. That's pretty much it. So Robert asked, what's next for Megan and Floor? Will you be sailing before next July? Any thoughts on new crew? Floor and Megan, like I said, Floor has taken a job in Dubai, and I'm assuming Megan will probably spend a good amount of time there. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't really talked to them since they made it known. Will we be sailing? Yep, we already answered that. I'll be jumping around on a bunch of different charter boats. And any thoughts on new crew? Well, no. I mean, if we do Spain, Geraldine may will probably, if I can swing it, join us for at least a week. Other than that, I haven't even thought about other crew and all that. I mean, that's too far in advance. I mean, even if we get to, honestly, yeah, what I would like to do. So if anybody knows, you tell me, because I've kind of snooped around this before just on the internet, seeing if I can find people, but it's been quite hard. What I would really love to do is get maybe a younger-ish couple, like in their 30s or 20s or whatever, doesn't matter, and a couple, so they're, boyfriend, girlfriend, married, whatever, doesn't matter, and then that at least one of them is an editor, right, and has experience with cameras or filming and editing and stuff like that. And then that would take a lot of the load off of me work-wise. So, and then it would be kind of a job, right? I mean, it would be a job for them. I mean, there'd be pay involved, and then they get to cruise around the world. So if anybody knows anybody that's pretty good at editing you think would be good on camera and all that, I'd love to hear from them. You can go to sailingnews.com and get in contact that way. Send some recommendations. And let's see here. And so that's my thoughts on crew going forward. Okay. Greg again. All right, man. I think it's your first one. You're saying hello earlier. Greg, you mentioned sailing the Pacific, but are actually going around the world and ending it back up in the Caribbean. Yeah, I mean, that's the plan, is do a circumnavigation. So, cross into the Pacific March of 24, spend a year at least, maybe 2 years in the South Pacific, and get over to Australia, do that for a while, and then through Indonesia, and all that again, and up to Asia and Thailand. I mean, you're talking really to enjoy yourself really well and get a circumnavigation. You need like 5 to 7 years. I mean, you can do it in a year, or less if you really want to. I mean, there's, the Vendée Globe does it in like something stupid like 70 days. To really, because, you need to spend at least 6 months in French Polynesia. You need to spend 6 months in Fiji. You need to spend at least 6 months, maybe a year in Indonesia. You need to spend 6 months, a year in Australia. And then you need to spend at least 6 months or a year in the Mediterranean. And then you got the Indian Ocean, right? The Seychelles and all that. I mean, so there's so many places that you need to go. I mean, like, so the World Arc, if you've ever heard of them, I don't even know, Atlantic Rally Crossing or something is what it stands for, but they also go around the world. They do it in 18 months, which is ridiculous. We met up with some of those guys when we were crossing through the South Pacific a while back, and 18 months. I mean, so they spent basically, we were doing a delivery, right? And so we only spent a month in French Polynesia. We only spent a month in Fiji. They did the same thing, right? So they spent maybe 6 weeks in French Polynesia, 6 weeks or less in Fiji, and it's just so they're just going right through and getting very little time in any place. And I mean, they enjoy it, I guess, because they have a built-in like kind of safety net and all that, but that wouldn't be for me. Where do you see yourself in 5 years from now? Well, I don't know. I think, I don't know. I mean, that kind of goes back to the whole crew thing, if find a good couple that would be good on camera and behind the camera and editing and all that, and, they take over more and more of the responsibility of the editing and all that, then things become a lot easier. Because it's just, right now, I mean, I enjoy it, don't get me wrong, but I'm one of those people that I don't, if I have downtime, I spend it working, right? I would love to get to the point where I don't do that. I'd love to, like, say we're in French Polynesia and, we're in Bora Bora and just anchored out. I could just sit there and enjoy it for 5 or 6 days, and instead of going, okay, wait, now I got to get this video done. Because I wake up. That's my problem sleeping. Is it? I wake up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m, go use the bathroom or something, and by the time I get back to bed, I'm already going through all the things I got to do that day in my mind, and so sometimes I have a hard time getting to sleep. And so I think that's why I want to get crew that can take over some of that responsibility of doing all those things. And so that's what I would love to do is within 5 years, I prefer to have it. I mean, if I could find somebody that could do these little charter trips with us for a while to make sure we're on the same page, and then when we actually get the new boat, have them full time with us doing that. That would be my goal. And then, so within a year or two of that, they are, I mean, we're all traveling around together, but they're taking the responsibility and taking the lead on that stuff, and I can just enjoy it more, So that's where I'd like to do. So Ken asks, will you have the same crew? Yes or no, I don't know. I mean, so we're talking about doing this trip in Spain. Well, I mean, so NG might come back for that. I mean, most of the people, there's only a couple that probably would not have back on the boat that have been crew on the boat. I'm not going to name names. Sorry, not going to happen. But, I mean, it's like, don't burn your bridges, right? So, I mean, there's been plenty of people that have come back. Like Megan's come back, who else has come? Taylor came back for a while. G's come back a couple times, so it's just, who knows? James asks, will we see pics or vids of the construction of the new boat? Yes. I don't know. I don't know exactly when my boat is going to be finished. So I will go over to Thailand. I'm planning to do it sometime this fall or spring. Basically, my boat construction, hole number 2, is what I'm getting. It started construction this month. I don't know how long it'll take them to finish, but I'm going to wait till there's at least a hull in shape before I go over there. So sometime this fall or spring, I'll go over and check it out. But yeah, I will film it. All right, and then SV Iodi again. What's up? Flotilla in Greece. Would love to, but not till next summer. But we'll see. That'd be pretty cool. I mean, it really depends on when my boat gets finished. So I don't know. All right, Greg asks again, do you see kids in the future? Would you raise them on the water like Delos and geckos, for example? I mean, if I did, I probably would. I always thought it would be I always thought if I had kids and doing the sailing thing, I'd do like 6 months on a boat, 6 months off. So 6 months, it'd probably be the, spring semester, right? So in the spring, you're on the boat because the weather's generally better, depending on where you are. And then you'd homeschool them there, and then in the fall, you're back on land where they can have like more social life and do all that kind of stuff. So that'd be the plan, but I mean, I'm not planning on it anytime soon, or if it happens at all, so we'll see. And Greg asked again, if you had to pick a place to live, say you couldn't sail any longer, where would you choose to live? That's a good question. I mean, we were just in Colorado. I really love Colorado. I might do that, honestly, because you have pretty nice weather in the summer, lots of outdoor activities. You can go skiing in the winter. Kind of a dream of mine has always been to have a cabin in the mountains, around Telluride or somewhere. And then so you do the fall and the winter and all that in the spring on the sailboat cruising around, and then go spend the summer in the cabin in Colorado. So that'd be kind of a cool thing. All right, John Edwards. Hey guys, wish you all the best. Well, there is good chemistry among all the members of you and your crew, but in particular you, Floor, Steph, and Megan. So everything is cool and the adventure continues. It will continue anyhow, or how will this all continue? I could see lots of expectancy among our fellow viewers. No doubt your program is great and we'll continue to watch. Well, like I said, I mean, Floor and Meg are kind of doing their own thing. Steph is here with me right now. So we're cruising, and really, I don't know what the future is. I kind of touched on the whole crew thing earlier, so kind of answered that one already, I think, for the most part. Okay, all right, and this is the last question. Let's see, we're at 26 minutes. That'd be great. Be about 30 minutes total. Keith Smith, would you recommend a 62-year-old, somewhat able retiree? What would you recommend? Do to get some sailing experience on a cat in the Caribbean to see how much to commit to the life? Are there companies looking for inexperienced seasonal crew help? Well, there are crewing websites. So you can go to like findacrew.net maybe, or crewseekers.net. I don't know, you can Google them. I think it's Find a Crew or Crew Seekers. And so they have crew postings on there. There's two kind of crew postings. There are kind of like free positions where, somebody's doing a crossing from the Atlantic. They're doing an Atlantic crossing, or they're sailing back to the East Coast from the Caribbean in May or so, or June or whatever. So, and there's only two of them. So sometimes they'll bring on crew to help them get the boat home. And then there are also crew type things where, like, I met some people doing it, and when we were in St. Martin. Like this one guy had a Jeanneau 62, and he was just sailing around the world. Really nice boat, pretty expensive boat, and he was having people pay to be on the boat for by the month, right? And I want to say he was charging them like $1,500 a month, and then that $1,500 a month got them room and board, and I think and then that covered like marina fees and stuff like that. I don't know if it covered basic provisions on board, but so these people did that, and okay, there are legality hoops about that, because that's technically a charter type thing. So, but I know there are people that do it. So you can do that, or there are people, but a lot of people just say, okay, that $1,500, that's your share of the operating expenses. So it's not really a charter, right? You're sharing expenses, right? So, that $1,500 goes to your marina fees that month, or, the fuel or whatever. So you can do all that. And so you can go to those websites, and there's people posting all kinds of job stuff there, or just open crew positions, and, see if you can find something there. All right. So that wraps it up, guys. If you'd like, so thank you guys for watching or listening, wherever you get your audio podcasts. And if you are interested in the Island Spirit 52, I know we talked about this some today, be sure that you tell the people when you inquire that you found it on Sailing Doodles, because that really helps me, because for every person that, buys one of them, then that lowers the price that I have to pay for it. So please help me out. And if you would like your questions answered on the next one of these, go to patreon.com/sailingdoodles, or just go to sailingdoodles.com. You can find a link there. We have lots of cool stuff like our merch shop, and we have our sailing school, and I've done a webinar or two on there. So guys, thank you so much. Thank you to our patrons, and we will see you on the next video, or hear you in the next podcast.